Everything you think you know about how your cat loves you is probably backwards. You've been trained by a lifetime of dog commercials and cartoon cats to believe that affection only counts if it's loud, if it's constant, if it looks like a golden retriever running full speed toward the door. But cats have been quietly rewriting the rules of connection for thousands of years, and real behavioral science is only now catching up to what your cat has been trying to tell you the whole time. For decades, the assumption in a lot of casual pet culture was that cats were semi-domesticated loners who tolerated humans mostly for food and shelter. Even some early researchers leaned into that idea, treating cats as a kind of evolutionary afterthought compared to dogs. But over the last 15 or so years, animal behaviorists and comparative psychologists have started studying cats with the same rigor once reserved for primates and dogs, and what they're finding paints a completely different picture. Cats form real attachment bonds. They read human emotional signals. They communicate consent and affection through an entire vocabulary of tiny deliberate movements most owners never learn to read. This isn't folk wisdom or wishful thinking from cat people defending their favorite animal. It's published, peer-reviewed behavioral science, and it's reshaping how experts think about the human-cat bond. So let's actually go through it, point by point, and by the end you'll probably realize your cat has been fluent in love this entire time, and you just didn't know the language. Start with the myth that cats are aloof. You've probably noticed your cat walks away right when you want to cuddle, and it's easy to read that as rejection. But researchers who study feline social behavior describe this as a negotiated relationship rather than a one-directional one. Unlike dogs who evolved alongside humans largely as cooperative working animals, cats self-domesticated over thousands of years, choosing proximity to humans on their own terms because it benefited them. That history didn't disappear. It just means your cat's affection comes with agency built into it. When a cat chooses to be near you, it isn't obligation, it isn't training, it's a decision made fresh every single time. That's not indifference. That's consent, over and over again, which if you think about it, is actually a much higher compliment than a dog who's bred to stay close no matter what. Here's something that quietly reframes almost everything else on this list. In 2019, researchers at Oregon State University, led by Kristen Vitale, ran a study modeled on the classic strange situation test originally developed to study attachment in human infants. They tested how cats responded to a caregiver leaving and returning in an unfamiliar environment, and the results were striking. The majority of cats tested showed the same secure attachment patterns you'd expect to see in a securely attached toddler or a securely attached dog. They used their owner as a kind of safe base. They were more relaxed when the owner was present, and they sought contact and reassurance upon reunion, rather than avoiding it or acting distressed and clingy. In other words, your cat isn't just cohabiting with you. Structurally, psychologically, your cat is bonded to you in a way that mirrors some of the deepest attachment patterns we know how to measure in any species, human or otherwise. Sit with that for a second because it matters. This wasn't a survey of cat owners describing their feelings. This was controlled, observable, replicable behavior scored the same way researchers score attachment in human children. Now think about the blink. You've probably had the experience of your cat looking at you from across the room, slowly closing its eyes, then opening them again. Cat owners have called this the cat kiss for years, mostly as a sweet piece of internet folklore. But in 2020, a research team out of the University of Sussex, led by Tasman Humphrey and Karen McComb, actually tested this scientifically. They found that cats slow blink more frequently at their owners, after the owner slow blinks at them first, and that cats were more likely to approach an unfamiliar person who slow blinked at them compared to one who kept a neutral expression. The researchers described it as functioning like a small, positive emotional signal between cats and people, something close to a smile. What almost nobody realizes is that this means your cat is capable of initiating a nonverbal, voluntary gesture of goodwill towards you and reading the same gesture back from you. That's not muscle memory. That's communication. Consider the head bump. Cats headbutt their owners or their furniture or occasionally their favorite ceramic mug, and it's usually read as cute and slightly funny. But this behavior, sometimes called bunting, is tied to scent marking through glands located around a cat's face. Behaviorists who study feline chemical communication note that this kind of marking is generally reserved for things a cat considers safe, familiar, and part of its social world. Your cat isn't just leaving a scent because it's convenient. It's actively including you in its sense of home. When a cat headbutts you, it is, in a very literal biological sense, claiming you as part of its territory of safety, which for an animal whose ancestors were solitary hunters extremely cautious about who and what they trusted, is a genuinely significant act. But here's where it gets a little more layered. Cats also groom their owners, licking hands or hair, And this one confuses a lot of people because it can look almost aggressive up close, especially when that sandpaper tongue catches skin the wrong way. Behavioral researchers who study social bonding in cats point out that allogrooming, meaning grooming between individuals rather than self-grooming, is a well-documented social bonding behavior among cats who live together and trust each other. When your cat grooms you, it is extending the exact same trust behavior it would extend to another cat it considers part of its social circle. You are, from your cat's point of view, being groomed into the group. Now think about something almost every cat owner has experienced and almost nobody thinks twice about. Your cat choosing to sleep touching you or nearby rather than in one of the dozen genuinely comfortable spots available elsewhere in the house. Sleep is one of the most vulnerable states any animal can be in, and cats, as both small predators and potential prey animals in the wild, are hardwired to be cautious about where and how they let their guard down completely. Choosing to sleep against you, or even just in the same room with you, in a position where they can't fully monitor their surroundings, is a behavior researchers studying feline stress and safety cues associate with a lowered threat perception around a specific individual. This next detail is one that even a lot of longtime cat owners are surprised by. Your cat sleeping near you is closer to a measurable trust behavior than it is a simple comfort preference. It is your cat's body making a decision that its brain has already made a long time ago, that you are safe. Then there's the tail. A cat's tail is often treated like a mood ring, and while that's a little oversimplified, there's real truth underneath it. An upright tail, especially with a slight curve or hook at the top, has been described by feline behaviorists as one of the clearest visible signals of friendly, confident greeting behavior in cats, something they display specifically toward individuals they feel positively toward. Kittens use a version of this tail-up posture to signal to their mother that they're approaching in a friendly, non-threatening way, and cats often carry that same signal into adulthood, using it specifically with the humans and animals they trust. So the next time your cat trots towards you with its tail standing straight up like a little flagpole, understand that you're watching a signal that traces directly back to the earliest, most fundamental language of feline trust. What's easy to miss in all of this is that none of these signals exist in isolation. The slow blink, the headbutt, the grooming, the tail position, the choice to sleep near you rather than away from you, they form a layered, consistent communication system. One your cat has been running the entire time you've owned it, whether or not you were fluent enough to notice. And this is where the strongest piece of evidence comes in, because everything up to this point has been leading toward one central, science-backed reframe. Go back to that Oregon State University attachment study for a moment, because the number itself deserves to be said plainly. When researchers tested cats using that structured separation and reunion protocol, roughly 2 out of every 3 cats studied showed secure attachment behavior toward their human caregiver, a proportion strikingly similar to the rates typically found in equivalent studies of human infants and pet dogs. That statistic is the quiet, retroactive proof for everything else on this list. The slow blinks, the head bumps, the grooming, the tail-up greetings. None of that is a coincidence, and none of it is projection from lonely humans desperate to feel loved by their pets. It's the observable surface of a real, measurable, scientifically documented attachment bond, one that puts cats in the same psychological category as some of the most socially bonded animals we know how to study. So here's what all of this actually means for you and the cat currently ignoring you from across the room, or possibly sitting on your chest as you hear this. Your cat is not indifferent to you. Your cat is not just here for the food, even if it will absolutely act like it is at 6 in the morning. Every slow blink, every gentle headbutt against your ankle, every time your cat chooses your lap over the empty couch cushion right next to it, every strange little grooming session where it licks your hand like you're one of its own, that is your cat speaking the only language it has. And it is saying, as clearly as a cat is capable of saying anything, that you are safe, that you are trusted, and that you are, in every sense that matters to a cat home. If you made it this far, do one thing before the next video starts. Think back through everything you just heard, the slow blink, the headbutt, the grooming, the tail up in the air, choosing to sleep near you instead of away from you, and count how many of those your own cat actually does. Drop that number in the comments. You might be surprised just how fluent your cat already is, and how long it's been waiting for you to catch up. And if this changed the way you think about the way your cat looks at you, stick around, because the next video goes even deeper into the science of what your cat is really thinking when it stares at you from across the room.